everything that's been happening with Sony, maybe this is Xbox's answer to try and gain a little bit more favour with players again.
Welcome to the Weekly Download, the definitive weekly podcast on the video game industry. Hello. Welcome back to the Weekly Download brought to you by Big Games Machine. I am your host, Tom, and today, making her hat trick of consecutive appearances and fourth overall, I believe, very prolific. Yaz,
Fifth.
welcome, fifth appearance. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
We are the outcasts of Gamescom, those left behind. No, I'm joking.
We are. She's not joking. But... If you're only listening, we are firmly at home, working hard without the joys of Gamescom. But yeah, obviously Gamescom is the big conversation of the week. We're going to stay away from Gamescom. We are covering some announcements from the event, but we're focusing more on, without sounding hypocritical, we're focusing on the announcements from Gamescom, but very much just looking at them in isolation. Gamescom will be next week. I imagine Alex will be on next week's episode and he'll give us a full debrief about Gamescom. But maybe we can, if we get through today's stories, Yaz, maybe we can have a few minutes at the end to run through any exciting things you've seen at Gamescom or not.
Maybe. Well, I haven't seen too much, to be fair, yet, so...
But we'll see how much time we have at the end. But I think let's dive right in to our lead story, I guess, for today. Although I think today we've got three stories that are fairly well measured against each other. But we'll start with this news from Xbox. Well, Xbox have come out and announced that they will be launching a program even, that starts next week for Xbox insiders to let them start converting physical games, physical discs, into digital games. The first time we're seeing any of the big players do something like this. That will start for Xbox insiders on 31st of August, and it'll let players convert physical Xbox One discs and Series X discs into revocable digital licenses. Basically, you put your disc in once, you can claim a digital version of said game, and then you also get access to Xbox Play Anywhere and cloud gaming and a few of these other features. So, Yaz, my question for you as a gamer is what's your thoughts on this as a potential, not solution necessarily, but we're seeing what Sony are doing. Obviously, they're stopping physical disc production. How do you see this from Xbox as a potential way forward for preservation, I guess, is what this comes back to? What do you think?
I do think it's a good move. I think it's a good thing. I think this is going to give players a lot more flexibility on their games, what they play on, etc., etc. It feels a bit suspiciously like a good thing. I kind of wonder what the motivation behind this decision is. It does raise the question of, if players claim their free digital version of the game that they own, what are they going to do with the disc then? Are they going to sell it? Do they lend it? But then other players can't claim the free version of it because they've already claimed their own free version. So what's going to happen to the disc?
That's we have this really bad habit with this podcast where we talk about what we're going to talk about before we start recording. I know we were speaking about this story earlier on in the day, and that's the question that came up for both of us. Was there's nothing, as far as we can see, in this announcement on the Xbox side, which is the only hard information that we have that's not speculation, about what happens to the physical games. As far as we can both tell and how we construe it, I think we both think that you'll get this digital version, and then essentially you've got a disc which still can play the game. So you've got two versions of the game. You're kind of cloning it, which is how it reads. And if that is true, that's as like an isolated thing. That's pretty cool. But then is the flip side of that, it would be a nightmare if Xbox started nuking people's physical discs because they decided they wanted to get a digital version. I don't know. I feel like they'll probably come out and clarify more around, especially when it launches on the 31st, which is next Monday,
yes,
I believe. Because, what does this look like? For people who've got loads of physical games who are going to make loads of money now if they don't care about keeping them.
Well, yeah, that is true.
Maybe.
I mean, it does seem like a way to bring in this game preservation again, perhaps to revive the secondhand games market a bit, because I know we recently covered looking at how secondhand market is kind of dying off a bit, especially with Sony's announcement. So perhaps it's towards that. But I mean, with everything that's been happening with Sony, maybe this is Xbox's answer to try and gain a little bit more favor with players again. We always see that Sony outsells Xbox all the time. Maybe this is Xbox's response to actually try and do something good for the players for once.
Yeah, I think objectively it's a pro-consumer move.
Mm-hmm.
I think looking at the bigger picture, it does make me wonder, is this in place because the next hardware from Xbox won't have, players won't have physical, you won't be able to access games on it physically. So is this a prelude to that and kind of going, okay, well, we're announcing that you can't do that on this next system, but we've already got this program that we've launched to help people with that. I don't know if that's
soft launching a diskless next generation.
Which I think is a bit of a cynical way to look at it. But then I also do, again, have to say it's very pro-consumer from Xbox to even do this. I think to do it first as well, physical media. But I think even I can be a realist and recognize the direction things are going. And hey, if this is what Xbox are doing, it's a damn sight more than Sony have done so far, or Nintendo, who are, I think, in a lesser world of digital than Sony and Xbox are. But still, neither of them have done anything like this. So it comes back to what you said. It's pretty cool that they're doing this, and it is objectively benefiting players, even if the long-term effects of it might point to physical, this not really being a problem for too much longer, because we'll be scourging the world of physical discs anyway.
Yes, it will be really interesting to see how this plays out and how this contributes to the whole physical versus digital debate going on right now.
Yeah, it will. I think we'll keep an eye on, I think, mainly just for that clarification around the physical discs. Mm-hmm. As we said, as far as we can tell, you'll redeem a digital version and then you'll still have access to a physical disc to either sell or give to someone, which is pretty cool if that is the case, but we'll have to see. I think we'll move forward to, we're kind of keeping the focus on players today, it feels like so far, with
as
players,
it should be.
And yeah, hell yeah. See, this is what happens when Yaz comes on. We're talking about gamers rather than all
gamers,
the boring business people. But another boring business announcement being made by Ubisoft, but very, again, seemingly player friendly, pro consumer, is Ubisoft debuting what they're calling the player council, or the player council, the player council platform to, as they say, expand early development feedback. So this will be a new platform launching. I don't think they confirmed when it will launch, but I imagine it will probably be this year, where Ubisoft will open up access to early concepts, prototypes, and even live games that are in early access or other such states. Something we've seen with Battlefield before, where you can access builds that wider players can't, but they're still public. But yeah, they're going to open up the doors and say, hey, come in and try these things. And that will be at concept phase. That will be at, I guess, like storyboard, which I don't know about you, Yaz. I guess even if you're not a massive fan of Ubisoft, it's still, I think this is really cool to see a really legendary studio, despite recent years, opening up more involvement in the community in development. So do you have any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so I mean, my mind immediately went to the EA playtesting, because it's a very similar thing, right? But as you rightly pointed out to me earlier, this is a chance for players to contribute at all stages of game development, not just when a final build is ready to play. They can get involved with the brainstorming, they can get involved with the pre-prototype phase and the concept phase. So actually, it's going to give gamers, a lot more of a chance to contribute early on and have an impact early on rather than just giving feedback on the final product. And I think that's cool. I think it's a win
Yeah.
for the gamers.
Yeah, I do. I mean, we have to imagine this will be very, from what we've read, heavily NDA'd.
Yes.
It's not going to be people popping up on YouTube and being like, oh, here's what's going on at Ubisoft. But to me, I know I'm giving Xbox props previously for making a step first. I'm not aware of any other companies the size of Ubisoft doing something like this, but I think this is fantastic. I also think that, hey, the amount of things that I've read where players of games online think if they were making the games, they'd be amazing. Bring them in then,
Yeah.
Bring them in. And maybe they'll crash and burn still, but then they'll learn a lesson.
Yeah. Let's see if they can actually walk the walk, shall we say.
Yeah. Now I'm seeing something where everything, I know people are critical about the homogenization of the industry and how everyone's making the same games. If we get the players involved, will that change or will it just be even more?
I hope so. I hope it will diversify more. I mean, that's the whole idea of bringing in more opinions, right?
Well, yeah. And I guess to Ubisoft, this is listening to public mood around them and saying, okay, we don't know how heavily involved people who participate in this will be in determining what these games look like. But yeah, Ubisoft have come out and said that these tests will start with Riders Republic and Atomiga.
I have no idea how to say
I've not
that.
heard of it. I've not heard of that second one. So we're already seeing that involvement in games that are currently out. So it'll be interesting to see how that is shaping things. But then also we've got 2 codename projects, codename Splitpoint and codename Rook. And it doesn't take a genius to know that when they've got code names, they're very early on.
Yeah.
So we'll be seeing people get involved in that. I think something else which I found quite funny from this announcement was that within this player council, I think you have to say it in the Epic Gamer voice for it to really work. There'll be, I'm imagining just some like Duolingo style reward system where the more, and this is apparently, they didn't say Duolingo style, but there'll be a gamified reward system that encourages feedback and participation. And in return, you'll get access to, new projects in concept phase or early access to builds of things. And I think this is really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Taking my industry head off for a moment, I think it feels like when you're growing up and you're playing games and you're like, oh, imagine what it's like to help do these things. For people who don't know how to develop, this feels like a really cool opportunity to participate in franchises that you care about. I mean, we know what kind of stuff Ubisoft have under the belt IP-wise as well. So, hey, bring people in on Assassin's Creed. Bring them in on... In Assassin's Creed, they'll just say, look, just scrap this one, make a remake of 2. That's all you got to do.
I mean, look, maybe you're right. Maybe this will bring in a new wave of the next gen game developers. Maybe it will inspire a load of people to get into the industry. You just don't know. But I think with everything that Ubisoft has been through in the last few years and perhaps some of the reputational damage it's had, I think this is a good step in the right direction to try and reconnect with consumers again.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think that pretty much is everything for this story. I think I'll just finish with this quote from Vi Alexander, who is the director of the Player Council. I can't get it out of my head now. He said, our vision with the Player Council is simple, build better games alongside our players. We're looking forward to feedback every step of this journey for the games as well as the platform itself. So
very nice.
Seems pretty hopeful. This might be the first. We might look back in a few years and think, oh, that's when Ubisoft really turned things around.
Yeah.
Or maybe not. But
well, watch this space.
Watch this space. We'll come back to this one in the future. But we'll move on to our third and final story for today. And I'm looking at the time and I'm thinking, my word, we've been very quick today. So we'll definitely have a little chat about Gamescom at the end. To just pad the time. But no, looking at this third story, I can't imagine the amount of times I've referenced Newzoo data or a Newzoo report in a podcast or in the weekly download newsletter, and we're doing it again. because their 2026 Global Games Market Report, it will be coming out in September. And we've already seen a few insights from it, one of which is that the industry will generate a predicted $213.9 billion in 2026. For anyone who has no real concept of how much money that is, such as me, and potentially Yaz, unless she has
No, I'm with you.
a very hefty wallet.
No.
That is a 6.1% year-on-year increase across, comparing this year to last year, and perhaps unsurprisingly, heavily supported by consumer spending in the US and China, which are two huge markets. I think before we dive into the data on this one, Yaz, I want to ask you how this compares, you think, to then the like reality it feels like we're seeing in the industry. Because this is all well and good, these like numbers going up and this 214 billion. But then I am sat here thinking, where's that going? Well, some answers to that later on will explain where it's going, but it feels, we're continuing to see so many layoffs. We're continuing to see studios get closed down left, right, and center under massive developers and publishers. So, yeah,
Well, there's a
what
lot
do you
of
reckon?
factors. There's a lot of factors at play here, right? Yes, the games industry is so volatile at the moment, as you said, with all the layoffs and redundancies. I think with all the prices going up, that could be contributing to it. I think monetization in games is much harder than it ever used to be, and I think that's contributing to it going up. Can't think of any more factors.
We'll take those two. I mean, let's look at because what you've said directly goes when we look at the breakdown, especially the point about monetization. We can look here. So mobile, of that 213, let's just say 214 billion, we'll round it up. 57% of total of that revenue, 121 billion, is from mobile, up 7%. So mobile outperforming the industry as a whole. And talking about monetization, as you brought up, a lot of that increase is being driven by, so a lot more mobile games and mobile publishers are now skipping App Store fees. So these 30% fees you have to pay on Apple, on the Google Play Store for microtransactions, and they're just hosting these on their own portals now, essentially. At the moment, 96% of mobile developers are either doing that or plan to do that.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so pretty much all these mobile studios, without doing like napkin maths, but they're in theory earning 30% more purely because they don't have to pay these platform fees anymore, which I'm not going to say that makes up all the mobile stuff, but that makes up a chunk of it. And I feel like the direct-to-consumer stuff, the web stores, is still quite an unknown thing. I don't know I know you're not super on the mobile stuff, so I don't know if you had heard of that.
I've heard of the phrase.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you much more about what it's about, what the impact is. I know it's on the rise, though. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I mean, that's what this 96% on mobile, it feels it's really taken a few years to ramp up, but now it's, especially, I think the Epic case with Apple exposed a lot of the, whether you agree or disagree, the idea of these app stores having monopolies because there's no marketplaces. So, yeah, I mean, mobile continues to, I feel like it's neglected when we speak about the industry more widely, but 57% just coming through mobile.
It's a cash cow, isn't it? But it's a very subtle, secret cash cow that's not really discussed that much.
Yeah, it feels, I don't know, to you, to me, it feels like we kind of shun that 57% of revenue. I don't think we hold these beliefs, but I know there's definitely people who will, look at mobile games and be like, oh, it's not a real game.
It's not.
It is a real game. It is a real game. And also, newsflash: like mobile doesn't mean Candy Crush and
Clash of Clans.
I was going to say Doodle Jump, which really ages me.
God, Flappy Birds.
Out Doodle Jump and Flappy Birds. Flappy Bird, yeah, and Angry Birds.
Yes.
Mobile has, I think, Death Stranding. The original Death Stranding is on phones now.
Right.
That's where all the mobile is. But then console and PC, 22% and 21% respectively, both slightly underperforming the industry at large, 0.1 and 5.3% up year on year. But I think the really interesting data points here are, first of which, premium game sales are expected to hit nearly 18% increase year on year. So why do you reckon that might be? Do you think there's like any big games coming out anytime soon
I
that might?
I don't know. There might be a big one coming up. I'm not quite sure though.
In November?
Yeah, maybe November.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
Rockstar was working on something. Is that right?
Yeah, like Red Dead 3, I believe.
Oh my god, don't do this to me. The things I would do for a Red Dead 3.
Well, if you wait 10 years, you'll get one.
No, I will be 40 by the time Red Dead 3 comes out. I can't do it.
And you'll be 60 when GTA 7 comes out.
God, I had this conversation with Alex as well. We're going to be so old.
See, this is why good old Nintendo, because you're getting like new entries every 3 or 4 years normally.
Mm-hmm.
Mario's been a while, but yeah, that 17.5% GTA 6. Again, GTA 6 is the lifeboat, which the entire industry seems to be very keen to step on and sit down in and drift off to safety in. And Yuzu, no different. Is there anything you want to add on GTA 6? Making more premium games get sold, or?
Nah, you've hit the nail on the head, and so many people talk about it already. It's just kind of like a no-brainer, isn't it?
It feels like it. I cannot wait to see, obviously, how well it performs.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really interested to see, like, 3 or 6 months down the line, where it's tracking against predictions.
Mm-hmm.
And more importantly, I guess, really for the wider industry, has it had an effect on console sales? Because I think, I don't know, part of me thinks that it might not shift the needle as much as Sony in particular may want it to.
Do you think? That's interesting.
Well, I know now we are just speculating. To me, the idea of buying a $700 system for a $100 game, it feels...
When you say it like that, that sounds absolutely ridiculous.
Well, yeah, kind of. To me, I don't know if I very much exist in a group of friends who only really care about games like GTA, like the big ones. But even then, I think how many people who are more casual, who are interested in new GTA game, are going to be willing to shell out so much? I can't wait to look like an idiot in a few weeks. I really can't. Or a few months even, because I can't wait for that. Sony are going to be like 100% increase in PS5 sales. And they all only bought GTA, and I just look like an idiot. It's just my theory. Just my theory. But I think the last thing we'll look at before we wrap up and have a quick chat about Gamescom is something else from this report. I've seen this in a few other places as well. But essentially, we're seeing the year-on-year growth of the overall player base globally of gamers who, are engaging, are playing things, whether that is mobile, console, PC. That growth is slowing a lot. 4.4% this year, the year-on-year increase. But in 2029, Yuzu are thinking that's going to drop to just over 3%. Feels like we're very much in a position now where everyone who can or wants to play games is doing it. So there won't be opportunities to keep growing the market. You'll have to do that through, if you want to make more money, it will be through monetizing. So, what does that look like to you? What do you think? Do you think we'll see more aggressive monetization? Do you think we'll see new ideas? Are we just going to see more just loot boxes? And
we are already seeing more aggressive monetization, I think, and I believe it's only going to get worse. I think it will.
When you say that, what are you thinking of? Like what comes to mind?
I'm thinking that games are going to go along a similar way as TV and streaming industries, where let's use Sims 4 for an example, right? I know their upcoming Project X, which is not the Sims 5, not a Sims 4 remake, but something in the middle, like a Sims 4.5, right? And there are talks about, instead of having the base game and then you have all the expansion packs that you can buy, you have a subscription which gives you access to all the expansion packs per month. And I think that's the kind of monetization we're going to see going forward. I think we'll see, paying to play without ads kind of coming up as well, like TV as well, which I hate. I think I'm not sure how it's going to look completely, but I think we are going to see more aggressive monetization, and I don't think people are going to be happy about it.
Subscriptions feels like a really good bet. I hadn't thought about it in that kind of way where if you're looking at that Sims example, that's kind of like doing a Game Pass but in a game, isn't it? Where you say, you get access to all this stuff for as long as you're willing to pay for it, and then once you, I guess that works if you also offer it independently. But then if you turn around one day and you say, okay, no, you can only get that through a subscription.
If that's the only choice, that's going to annoy a lot of people.
Which I would call the Adobe technique of if you were born early enough, you get lifetime access to these things. Or maybe you don't. I don't even know anymore. But I remember, I feel like that felt like a really big thing in like the 2010s of every software company getting a new economist who went like, if we turn this into a subscription, we'll make so much more money. And they were like, oh, we didn't know this. And then all the games started trying to do it, and that's worked to various degrees. But no, subscription sounds like a really good bet. I guess I imagine there'll be things that can be monetized that we've not even thought of yet. I know you're speaking about adverts. I know that a lot of sports games, the EA games, the Take-Two, like 2K, all have like loads of adverts, whether that's for immersion side when you're playing the game, it's still an advert. I imagine that's a good bet from you as well, that we'll see loads more, probably like product placement as well.
True, and that's very
Death
sneaky
Stranding,
and subtle.
That's a big thing in Death Stranding.
Is it? I've not played Death Stranding.
In the first one, the cans everywhere. I wish
really?
I was
Oh my god!
Yeah. That's a big. To you, Yaz, to anyone listening, have a look at some of the product placement Kojima's done in games in the past, because it's kind of like a staple Kojima thing where he does these really weird product placements. But I think that's, looking at film, looking at TV, product placement's a massive thing.
Yeah, true.
It's already, like I said, we're already seeing a lot of advertising in-game in sports games because they can sell it as being an immersive feature. I have no doubt that, you'll be playing like GTA 6. I think there'll definitely be. Maybe if not too many, because it's very much a satire, but it wouldn't surprise me if at one point someone
just whip out a bottle of Jack Daniels or something.
Or like they just slide like a Coca-Cola across the table.
Coca-Cola or Pepsi though.
Yeah. Well, whoever paid them more.
There you go.
But I think product placement, subscriptions, they both feel like two fairly good ideas. That brings us all the way back to this conversation about new ways to monetize people. I always think these reports are great, but they're only predictions. We don't know what things will look like. We don't know what new ways to monetize we might see, but it's clear that the industry is getting to a point where on both sides there's probably going to be new ways needed to monetize, because everyone's feeling the squeeze somehow.
Definitely.
But yeah, I think we'll wrap there. Have you got any closing thoughts on today's stories?
No, I mean, it was nice to have slightly more positive stories than negative. I think
I try.
I won't be here next week, but I will absolutely tune in to hear what Alex has to say about Gamescom when that all wraps up.
And to comment on his overall performance, I'm sure.
Yes, and he'll probably bring up Resident Evil a couple of times as well.
He will. Oh, he will. Alex will be. If Capcom did the player council, Alex would be like top of the line for Resident Evil. He'd be like, show me the concept art. Show me it. The player council, brought to you by Ubisoft. Anyway, I'll be all professional now. Thank you, Yaz.
Thank you for having me.
For joining us on the weekly download, not the player council. The weekly download brought to you by Big Games Machine. Thank you so much to everyone for tuning in to this week's Gamescom week episode, but not very Gamescom-y. That'll be next week. If you are interested in more stories, more analysis, or you just like having a little read about the biggest stories in the industry, alongside the lovely Weekly Download podcast, which you are listening to, we do have the Weekly Download podcast, which is available via Substack and LinkedIn. Links in the description for that one. And with that, I think we'll sign off. Thank you, Yaz, for joining me. I'm very happy that you've done 3 weeks in a row. It feels like you're a reliable member of. When I came to you this week and I was like, Yaz, it's going to have to be you again. And you were like, sign me up.
I already knew.
Sign me up. Sign me up. Get me involved. That's the spirit. I already knew. I'm already planning for it. It's going to be terrible.
Not in a bad way.
I'm not in. I'm not in today. But no, fantastic. Thank you, Yaz, for joining me. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And we will see you all next time. Goodbye.
Cheers. Bye.